it's number one, in place. Number two, there's a lot of restrictions when you start, and I'm learning this as a new person. You got single lines, you got double lines, you got UP lines, you got BNSF lines, you got shared lines, you got freight lines, you got this. It's like, okay, what the heck does that mean? How do I sell the train? They said, well, you got to understand it's more of a big puzzle. And once you start understanding the puzzle, you start realizing, okay, it's not that easy to say this and that. However, there are areas where when I get on the train at 5:20 in the morning in Oceanside to get up to the Union Station, we're 5 minutes early, and they said, okay, if you rush and hurry, you can catch the Bob Hope train, Burbank, whatever. I sit back and I say, you know what? Why can't we just leave Oceanside 5 minutes earlier so we don't have that problem? And I challenge people in the office because at the end of the day, that's my job. I say, you guys want me to sell, but you got to understand, it's not all about the mechanics, but what about the customer? Have we looked at it? Well, you know what? We can do that. So it's once again it's that awareness factor. You start looking at connectivity through and through service. You start looking at different demands. I don't know if there's possibly a strong demand for people living in Riverside to Orange County. You start looking at that, but once again, it's my goal is to understand the service to figure out. Okay, I'll create the demand. I'll figure out a way to get butts on the trains and figure out how to move them. And the thing is, right now, my boss, the CEO, has a very open mind. I said, John, give me the opportunity to put a train out there for a couple months. Let me fill it. Because once again, you ask yourself, do you create the demand, or do you put the train out there first? Sometimes you got to put the train out there first, even run it empty, then create the demand.
And as a follow-up question, one of the things you mentioned in terms of surveying, I think it is very valuable also to survey both your existing corporate customers, why are they involved, what do they like, what would they want to see improved, but also some of those who have dropped off the map.
Oh, most definitely.
So that we can identify how to build up that core corporate membership base,
yeah,
and start incentivizing employees through their companies. And by the flip side, also looking at some of our writers who are employees of these corporations, see what might be the possibility of trying to get their corporation signed up and maybe providing them incentives in order to, grease the wheel, so
it goes back to this. Okay, it goes back to this Wild at Work campaign again. You start looking. We need to understand our customer better. And you know what? We can probably create a train from point A to point B if the slot's available, if we create demand. And I don't have a problem going knocking on somebody's door and talking to, the travel coordinator, the HR, the president of the company. I mean, my business, we sold, a non-tangible item, so we're always up to that type of challenge. Say, hey, if you can provide 100 employees maybe an hour after peak time, we might be able to dedicate a train to you. We provide transportation. Companies will look at it and say, down in San Diego, people have what they call kind of flex hours. Allow people to go to San Diego to drive there to start at 10 o'clock so they can avoid the traffic side. And when you look at a train that we offer, you start looking at, the benefits that, from the taxes and everything else that we can modify that, it's there. We just got to find it. We got to ask that question. We got to build that. But you're absolutely right in a lot of those areas, and again, that's our responsibility, and we got to look a little bit deeper than what we've been doing before, because I go back and I see an opportunity. I see a great opportunity to fill the trains, because once again, sales is a numbers game. It really is.